this venue is. Listen, I'm with you. It's an A&M is winning. I don't think there's a better venue. These fans stand up the entire game. This is the best 30 seconds right here.
You go out and play hard today. You play hard with the names on your back. You play hard with the names on your chest. Texas A&M.
Welcome back, man. I love the intro. But good afternoon, Robert. How you doing today, sir?
Doing great. Above water. We just had the Hurricane Nicholas come through on our end, so just grateful to be above water, man.
No doubt, and we'll definitely talk about that. But before we really get into football, but man, it was a great weekend, for me. The Dolphins won. Texas A&M, tough fought win, but came out with a victory. So 2-0, both teams support. We are the Gig'em guys with Miami ties, and it's great to be back with you again. But as Robert mentioned earlier, Tropical Storm Nicholas, the effect it just had on the city of Houston, Galveston area, South Texas, along the Gulf Coast. Storm came through here, and even today, I was watching the news, and it's about 400,000 plus people still without power. So let's keep those people in our prayers. And a lot of the schools around Galveston and on the south side of Houston, a lot of those school districts are still closed due to the storm. So that definitely affects not only the students, but the parents, teachers, and everything. So everyone has to make adjustments, but just hang in there. The light company is doing an outstanding job. They've really got a lot of the power restored back. So that was definitely a plus. And hopefully by the end of the week, they have everything back to normal. But we will also be praying for the state of Louisiana, because Nicholas is headed toward Louisiana, and within the last 2 months, if you remember, Hurricane Ida just went through New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and parts of the southeast or southern part of the state of Louisiana, and then continued on up and did major damage throughout New Jersey and stuff. So a lot of people affected, a lot of deaths, a lot of destruction, and when you've been through something like that, that's definitely it affects your mental state, and you got to try to pick up the pieces. But the thing I can say about America is we come together most of the time when we go through something catastrophic like that. So I know neighbors and different organizations and everyone to step up. But wanted to mention that. I think Robert said something about it earlier, but I guess let's just jump right into it. This Saturday, the Texas A&M Aggies traveled to Colorado to play the Buffaloes. Texas A&M was ranked number 5 in the country, going into a hostile environment. We talked about it last week. The altitude, just being on the road, full stadium to capacity. It's nothing better for a team to come in and face a team like that and get a win against the number 5 ranked team in the country. I can remember the previous year, Robert, we played against University of Florida at A&M, and we beat Florida at home. I think they were ranked number 5. So that kind of was a major stepping stone or hurdle that we needed to get over. We would always play good against top ranked teams, but once you win one of those games, I think it really catapulted our program last year. We ended up going 9-1 and almost made the college playoffs. So the expectations are high for the Aggies, and it was a tough fall game. I give credit to Colorado. They were very well prepared by their coaching staff. Uh, they were determined to shut down the running game, and then early on, the injury with Haynes King, he fractures, I guess, a bone in his lower leg, and it doesn't get any worse than that. So that's a virtually right off. But I'll let Robert chime in, then I'll get back. We'll get back talking. But you can give some of your thoughts on the Colorado game, Robert.
Yeah, man, it was a war of attrition. It was just like everybody dug in, both teams dug in, and proclaimed that they were going to run the ball, and and then so that's why the game was 7-3 for so long, and we ended up pulling it out, and our boy A-Train, he got on that rail and went 60 yards in 4 seconds, and that was it. And
Yeah.
and I think they adjusted well to King getting hurt. I think they did. I think they did all that they can do. And the second string quarterback came in. He did his job, and I think they'll be better for it moving forward. And the team has to rally around who's ever in that spot now. And that's how it goes. Next man up.
That's the thing, and I believe you said it perfect, Robert. Next man up. Anytime you get put in a situation like that on the road in a hostile environment, you see your starting quarterback go down. But when you got guys like Spiller, Green in the huddle, those are some of the leaders that's been there before. But I didn't see their body language change. That's what I was really impressed about. Haynes Kings went down. Zach Calzada came in, and it was a really tough fought battle between him and Haynes King during training camp. So to see him come in, and I think, Robert, what a lot of people don't realize or understand is when you're the starter, you get the majority of the reps in preparation for the upcoming game. So for Zach Calzada to step in and navigate the offense and go out there, and as a backup, you take mental reps. So he's not getting the physical reps where he's throwing the football or going through his progressions. He's got to take more mental reps. But you can see in the second half, it started to come together. They drove down, and even he made a big play. He was running, trying to score and reach and extend it, and actually fumbled the ball through the end zone. But the guys, they kept that same composure. They didn't let that get them down. And, they came back, put another drive together. And I think on that last drive, Isaiah Spiller was huge. Made a key third down catch. And then I think he ran like a little wheel route. You probably know more than that. And Calzada laid over the top, and he scored their touchdown. And that was all she wrote. So I know Texas A&M was definitely happy to get out of there with a W, because it's almost like a trap game. But when you get hit with adversity like that early on, it's easy to tuck your tail between your legs and say, you start, if you look for excuses, you'll find them, and that's what I tell people. But that was not the attitude they took or whatever. They hung in there, they fought, and they never showed that they didn't have belief in that young man. And I can see why, because I believe it was a pretty tough quarterback battle between the two. And he's got a really nice arm. And I expect this week, with him getting the majority of the reps, he'll be able to once they call those plays, he'll know the routes, and he'll be able to hit Wiedemeyer, because a couple of times he missed. But like I said, when you don't get those reps, I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration. And when you're watching on TV, it's easy to say, oh man, that guy was wide open, or why didn't you do this, or why didn't you do that? But when you're in the middle of the game and it's going game speed, and you're throwing in the fire like that, it's really, really tough.
Yes,
and then defensively, if you think about it, Robert, the first half, Colorado came out pretty good playing. But what I really like about what Coach Fisher and his staff did, it seemed like they went in at halftime, they made adjustments, and our defense settled down, and they really gave us an opportunity to win that football game. I mean, they shut Colorado down, and It was a young man the defensive line played good, but it was a young man, Antonio Johnson. He was number 27. I think he had about 9 or 10 tackles, but it was just open field tackles that he was just making. And I was just like, man, this kid is playing big time. So to
Hmm.
see that, step up and make those plays, because where we were going 3 and out in the first half, they started to go 3 and out. So our defense stepped up, and I was concerned because if the first half we were going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and everybody knows the longer your defense stays on the field, once those guys get tired, that's when the big plays started happening. But the defense continued to rotate guys. The guys stayed fresh, and it was long enough to where we could kind of get some consistency going in the second half. So that was definitely encouraging.
Yes, sir.
Um, go ahead, Robert.
And that brought me back to the Texas game when we lost Bucky, and he was our leader on offense, and he went down, and next man up was Lance. We had Lance and another quarterback that came in. We used both of them, and so that was definitely that just reminded me of that. And moving forward to what you were saying about the game itself and the quarterback getting the reps, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. I said, there's one thing that you cannot create, and that's game speed.
That's true.
You cannot create that at practice, no matter how hard you try. If you're trying to emulate, if you got a fast quarterback on your team and you're trying to emulate Mike Vick, it's not going to work, because Mike Vick game speed is going to be that much more higher than whatever you practice with. So for him to come out and be able to adapt to the game speed and to the play calling and whatnot, I think that was huge for us.
Oh, no question. And you bring up some valid points there. The game speed, and even I can remember, I think I was gone, but maybe not. But you're right. The quarterback position is so pivotal or so important. You see that guy go down. I can remember, I think this was 93. We were in Miami and we were playing in Cleveland, and Dan Marino tore his Achilles. And when you have a guy like that of his stature, that's, he's already proven, he's already Hall of Fame worthy. You lose a quarterback like that in the game. It was early in the season. So you not only think about that game, but what are we going to do the rest of the season? And I got drafted with Scott Mitchell, came in, and, to be honest with you, we were unsure because we just really didn't know. We played with him a little bit. He get reps during the preseason, but not so much during the game. So he said, man, we're going to be fine. And I think one of the first passes he threw, it was an interception, and he was like, oh man, here we go. You got to fight against that. And he came out the next series, whatever, and started running the offense. And I mean, we drove down, and he made some big plays. And that's the thing a lot of time with the backup, especially in the NFL, they study film and stuff so much that they know what that guy is typically going to do, his tendencies, strengths, weakness. But a backup comes in, you don't have much film on him, and he can just kind of rip through you. But every situation is different. But those were some valid points that you brought up. Now this week, we're back at home. Thank goodness. We have New Mexico. Another game, but I expect, and I think everyone expects, I think it'll be much better. Calzada will have a full week of practice. I'm sure Coach Fisher is going to really work with him and hone in on, what to look for. They'll put him in, several coverages, go through your progressions, and if he's not seeing what he's supposed to, they'll go through it and during practice and stuff like that. So I'm expecting him to be much more polished. And it's just like anything. The first game, you get in there like that, there's probably 60,000 people in Colorado. That's your first game starting, this and that. He played a little bit, but it's different playing on the road than playing at home. And this week it should be much better, but I think he's going to have a big game. And this is another tune-up before we get into SEC play, because the next week, I believe, is Arkansas Razorbacks, and I watched them against the University of Texas, and they look really, really good. So, yeah, they look really, really good. And they were pretty dominant, very physical team, this and that. But we'll talk about them the next week. But New Mexico is a team, and I expect us to win this game. This is a game, but I don't think you approach this game as this you already got it won. You got to still prepare and be ready. Go out and execute your defense, and if defense and offense, and if you do that the way that I expect them to, you get an opportunity to play a lot of young guys to get them experience reps, get some of the receivers in, different running backs, and that gets those guys experience. So when they do get another game, it's like you kind of introducing it to them to where it's just not like a shock where they're deer in headlights, because I'm gonna tell you it's different playing in front of, the biggest crowd you played in, 10. Well, I say probably now some high schools you might get a game where it's 20,000, but Kyle Field holds 100,000. So it's hard to compare a high school game to that with that magnitude and the way that we had a fan support, the 12th man, the crowd noise, because I'm telling you, I try to tell people it's no other place like playing there. And I can remember when the defense would be out there, it would get loud to where if you're talking to the guy next to you, you can't even hear. So that was definitely an advantage for us. But what do you think about New Mexico? What's your expectations, or what do you think we need to get done?
I think not to be on the other team's side, but I think this is a great opportunity for New Mexico.
Okay.
Coming in against a top 5 ranked team, that this is a chance for them to show what they have. And I think that the defensive coaches over there are going to come in with a game plan to get this quarterback off his spot and pressure him, at all costs. They might run zero blitz, casino blitz, and live with the circle, and live with if they get burned for touchdowns, they're willing to live with it. But if they don't, they get to them and get the ball out and cause turnovers. That's a whole nother deal. And I think we're gonna be heavy run package. Heavy run package.
I agree.
And you mentioned Arkansas, man, and they look like me and Tank back in the day. Running that ball, man, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, they looked really, really impressive. And
coaches, the coaches have a deal right now where they have to make these players not look forward to that game and dismiss New Mexico. You said, it could be another trap game.
Yeah, but I think Coach Jimbo, I think Coach Fish, he does a good job of keeping the guys focused and not looking ahead. And you're right, that's when it turns into a trap game. But I agree with you totally. I believe New Mexico, they have nothing to lose. They're already expected to probably lose the game. So the thing that I agree with you, I think they're going to probably load the box up and try to force Texas A&M to throw the ball and see if he can beat them that way, blitz, and just throw everything at them that you got. But I think you're going to get a heavy dose of Spiller and A-Chain, get those guys running. That helps the flow of everything. Once the running game gets going, that opens up opportunities for Wiedemeyer and the rest of the tight ends, receivers, this and that, and it'll take pressure off Calzada where he doesn't have to operate. We were operating from behind a lot. Good thing was we didn't just abandon the running game, but they really kept that box stacked up against Colorado and tried to force them to throw, especially after they knew we lost our starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I've been calling for and hoping for and wishing for since Jimbo's got there, man, is pre-snap movement on the offense. we line up, and I guess they're saying we have superior talent or whatever, but we line up in the formation that we're going to run, and then we take 15 seconds, let the defense look over that, and they base their calls on where we're lined up in. As opposed to a coach like Gus Malzahn that was at Auburn, I mean, you would have 3 pre-shift movement. They would line up tight, shift to trips. Then one of those guys would come in motion. Then you have another guy coming in speed sweep. Then you got another guy running in reverse motion, and it just gets the defense, on its heels. And with the talent on our offense, you put those guys in motion if for no other reason than to designate whether they're in man or zone. And with the athletes that we have, I mean, I think that would help our offense moving down the road.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider. We have a lot of young receivers. Seems like I think Calzada, he kind of locked in on a couple of them. Wiedemeyer and Anaya Smith, it seemed like those were his 2 go-to guys. But you're right. Get some of these younger guys in there, rotating them in, and just like being decoys, lining up in different formations, send motion, this and that. That forces the defense to shift, or where your 3 technique, you might have to slide to a 1, or the linebacker might have to walk up on the line, or they might have to rotate back, or the coverage has changed, this and that, because now they're saying, well, we thought they're going to probably have a high tendency to run this play. Now we don't know because of all the shifting and movement. So that is a good thing with the talent we have.
And one thing that I don't know if I'm sure he's got it in his bag of tricks, but is to put Wiedemeyer, just say, hey, man, put Wiedemeyer at the X or the Z. Just put him out wide. And if they send one person, if they send the linebacker out there, you know where the ball is going. Or if they don't send the linebacker, if they keep the defensive back out there, now there's a mismatch on the slot, and that's kind of that's what he has available to him,
Yeah, he's very special tight end. I kind of look at the young man, I believe his last name is Waller with the Raiders. He's a tight end, but man, he lines up sometime like a receiver, like what you talked about. But it just creates mixed match when you got a big guy that runs routes as well as he does, and knows how to use his body to shield the defender and this and that, and it's just a big target. So we could see that coming down the road. I don't think they're showing everything right now, especially in these early games. Once we start SEC play, I'm sure he's going to start adding some things, because I think after New Mexico, I think that's when it kind of kicks off and starts. So those are very good things. But I do believe that that we will win this game. And like you said, next man up. But the thing that if this didn't show the rest of the guys up, in a situation like that, even with Haynes King and Calzada, you're one player from being the starter. So all it takes is one play for a guy to go down, and you got to be up. And you don't want to be the guy that's not prepared, that's ready to go out and execute and help your team win. And hats off to Calzada and Coach Fisher for having the team prepared and going out and get another W this weekend. But we're looking forward to another W versus the New Mexico State when we play them this Saturday. I believe the game is at 11 o'clock. Moving on to the Miami Dolphins. Huge win again. I had a great weekend. I mean, 2-0. You can't beat that. But it was a huge win. It was so hyped up. It was, Tua versus Mac Jones. It was Miami versus the Patriots. It was, Flores versus Coach Belichick. The mentor versus his
mentees.
Mentee. So it was just great game. But to go on the road on one, and I was impressed with Mac Jones. I think we blitzed him a little bit, and he was able to, get the ball out. And watching New England's offense, it kind of reminded me of when they had the two tight end set with Hernandez and Gronkowski. It seemed like they got two tight ends that I think if you continue to watch them, it causes mixed match problem because it's hard to match up when you got two really good tight ends that can run, block, and then go out and run routes. And that was something that kind of stood out. But we started out the game, the first couple of drives. Tua was really sharp, got up under center, run pass options, getting the ball out quick, and that we drove right down, scored, and that was huge. And I think that's where he's most comfortable. So if we can do that and continue to sustain drives, I think what it was, as first couple of drives we did good, and then we had a couple of drop balls by receivers or whatever, and that kind of stymied the drive to where we had to punt in a couple of situations. But it turned into a defensive battle, and the strong point with New England was we knew that they were going to try to run the football, and they did that pretty well. They run the ball actually pretty good, but the defense was able to hold and sustain them and keep them to where we continued to go back and forth. That was what I saw, and it was a good matchup. So did you get an opportunity to check that game out, or what did you think
I
about
did,
it?
and it was I saw it as a shootout between the quarterbacks. They were zooming that ball, man, all over the place. And you talk about both of these guys coming into the league. They said that Mac had the accuracy, and he showed it. And then Tua did too. Tua was dropping dimes as well, man. So I was like, man, this is a shootout, and at the end of the game, we were able to get that fumble out, and that sealed the deal, man. So that was a great win for us. And moving forward, these guys, that was a great confidence builder to go up there, like you said, another hostile environment, and to come out of there with a victory. Some of us will say because of what happened to Cam Newton, ball don't lie, but so that's something to think about. Something to think about. Because what happened with Cam, but I think both teams game planned well, and it came down to big plays and turnovers.
Yeah, it was definitely great preparation by both teams. I'll give you that. And then when you mentioned the fumble, I was watching an interview, and Xavier Howard, I think he was the one calls it or recovered that fumble or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the reporters or whoever was asking him about that play, and I just love his answer. It was basically like, that's what he expects to do in crucial situations. He expects to come up with the big play to do whatever. So, and I think I tweeted about that. I said, man, that's a mindset. If you can develop that mindset, that when somebody's got to make a play,
you want to be that guy.
You want to be that guy. You don't want to be the guy that's looking around and saying, well, can Robert do it? Or, like you said, Bucky, or we waiting on Marino. Like, no, I'm going to make the play. I'm not waiting on anybody. So that defense, they lost Rayquan Davis, he's defensive tackle out of Alabama, hurt his knee. So it's I think he's going to be, they put him on injury reserve, but it's just different now. So I think he's on there for like 3 or 4 weeks. And hopefully we can get that young man healthy and back, because he was really playing some good football, plays the run extremely well. So definitely want to get that young man back. But like you said, this was a 2-for-1 for the Dolphins on the road at New England. And we really normally have a tough time, but this was a divisional win. So I count these as twice. And we're actually leading the division right now, but it's still early. So I don't hang my hat on that. The next thing is we got the Buffalo Bills, and they had a tough game. They actually were at home and lost to the Steelers. So I know they don't want to go down 0-2.
Mm.
I believe we were the only team in the East that actually won a game. I think the Jets lost,
Yeah.
Patriots lost, and so they don't want to go down 0-2. And the good thing about the Patriots game, no, we always play them better when they come to Miami versus when we go up there. But
Yeah.
this week, I know Josh Allen, he's gonna be trying to get that team turned back around. But I'm hoping for a good, hot, humid day to where in the second half those guys start to cramp up, because it's probably 60, 70 degrees in Buffalo this time of year, and then when they normally have to travel down to South Florida where it's hot and humid, they sweat profusely and have dehydration issues and all that. So hopefully we can take those guys down 2-0.
And man, it's not hard when you're on the Dolphins squad. It's not hard if you have 3 home games in the first quarter of the season. It's not hard to go 4-0 because those guys come down from New York. I can remember the Jets came down one year, and man, they were the first quarter they were fine, but from the second quarter on, even after halftime, man, they were just dying over it.
They had the fans, and it's misting, and they can't get enough Gatorade or Pedialyte, whatever they're taking over there. It really, that people don't understand that humidity, how it affects teams that come down from the north. But
and then we don't talk about it a lot, and people don't talk about it a lot, but the average NFL player during a game loses between 10 and 13 pounds of water weight.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so,
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So if you take that off, and then you think about replenishing that, either at halftime or you running like Lamar Jackson said he went in last year during the playoff game and got two IVs and came back out and won the game. He's like his hands started cramping, then his legs started cramping, so he just ran in and got 2 IVs. But and I tell my boys this all the time. I was like, man, that's why they shut us down on Friday to play on Sunday, because that rest that you get on Friday, that's what your body is going to use on Sunday to perform. And it's something, man, when you lose that much water weight, and to be able to hold your position and keep running, keep blocking, keep tackling, it's a hell of a feat.
That's a great point, and I thought about that after you said that. I can remember we would be going through training camp in Miami, and it was always you had to weigh in before practice and you had to weigh in after practice, and depending on how much weight you lost, you would see guys get an IV. So like you said, if you lost 10 or 12 pounds, you can't put that much water back in before the afternoon practice. So a lot of times they would come give guys IVs to help get those fluids back in you. But you're right. People don't understand how hot and humid it is. You got shoulder pads on, a helmet, and it's like you're just baking in steam. And normally they have the screen up on the fence to where you can't just see in there because they don't want
cool
anybody.
Breeze.
You can't get a breeze, so you just sitting in there baking, steaming in a pot. But man, you brought back some memories on that. You're exactly right. But I think the thing is that every week you got to be prepared, and you never know when your number is called. But when it is called, you want to be ready to go, and you have to expect the unexpected. But I see this Buffalo game. I'm hoping, most games are decided between 3 points on average in the NFL. But if we can get that hot humidity, I'd love to see a 7 to 10 point win against the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it's just the rivalry. It's the fact that, neither team likes each other, never have, never will. Right. And to go up 2-0 in the division, that would be huge. So,
man, I remember pulling up. We got off. We flew up to to Buffalo,
Okay.
and I don't. You remember the airport? There's nothing kind of around the airport, so we pulled out of the airport, and there's a gas station like in the middle of nowhere right there, and there's one guy. There's a guy at the gas station pumping his gas, and he looked at the buses and he realized that it was us, and he
Yeah.
immediately threw the finger up.
Oh yeah,
I was
they knew
like,
how to
wow. I was
they
like,
knew how to
really, man,
welcome you.
really?
Yeah, they knew how to welcome you up there. They wanted to know it ain't no love lost. That
They
was a
hate
good
the
thing. But
Dolphins, man.
man,
They hate the
they
Dolphins
hated
up
the
there.
Dolphins. So you're right. You're right. But I'm predicting another 2-0 weekend for both, the Dolphins and the Aggies. So I'm looking forward to that. And we were talking a little bit before the show, and it was a couple things that you wanted to bring up. So I'll give you the floor, and then I'll kind of chime in after that.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, man. I wanted to, talk about this the mental health aspect as it pertains to everyone, not just football players or people that are in sports, or you know, because like with these hurricanes, man, like I can honestly say that I think after Hurricane Harvey, that was two
Hmm.
weeks of straight rain for us. My boy started school. We were living in a hotel for 30 days. They started school out of a hotel, man. So it seems to me like uh, not announcing it, but I people in Houston and the surrounding areas, like in Louisiana, man, they they it's like they have PTSD, man, dealing with these
Yeah.
storms. Now you got COVID coming behind that. It's rough. It's rough on people, man, and we don't talk about it enough. And then the mental health issue, it also came out in the Olympics with Simone Biles. You know, leaving her team and saying, "Look, I got to deal with my own issues," and the repercussions from that. And then Osaka, the tennis player, the same thing. She was like, "Look, this is real," and so people have to actually look at this for what it is, man. It's a real diagnosis, and it's you have to let people deal with it in their own way. You
Yeah.
can't force somebody to go out there and perform on an Olympic stage and say deal with it afterwards. You know what I mean? Or you shouldn't have left your team and all that stuff, man. So uh, and I know from playing football all those years that we go through it. It might not PTSD. We get caught up with the concussions and the CTE and all that stuff, man. But it all starts with mental health, and it's not talked about enough. And I think, like you said last week, talking about life would be better than talking about sports sometimes. So I think that we should bring up the mental health aspect uh, of life right now with the hurricanes and COVID, and because I saw it with my kids. I saw it with, I mean, there was kids. My goddaughter, her mother is a teacher, and she's straight A student. Man, COVID hit, everybody struggled in school.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Really? She's struggling? I was like, man, straight A students. And they didn't take to the virtual learning with the teachers like we're doing right now with the Zoom. They didn't take to it, man, and it was something about being in the classroom and seeing the teachers and seeing your peers and that type of stuff, man. So I just wanted to just throw that out there, man, and then either you can back me up on
Yeah.
it.
It's no question. I mean, you brought up some valid points, and the good thing a lot of times with like professional athletes like Simone Biles, and I think you're right. A lot of people don't understand that. The good thing is, she was brave enough or had the courage to come out and announce that, because you're gonna get the ridicule, you're gonna get the people jump on you, comment whatever they are, but at least most of the time, a professional athlete can go get help. Where when you brought up Hurricane Harvey, I was sitting here thinking about that, and as well, I remember we flooded. We almost got almost 2 foot of water in our house, so we had to move. Same way, we didn't stay in a hotel, but fortunately, we had my aunt stayed about 2 miles away, so we went to live with her for about, I think it was about 6 months, because we had to, tear sheetrock out, this and that. And I can remember we had to get up. We left the house, and I walked out to my mailbox, and I'm pretty tall, and the water was above my navel, so it was above my waist.
Golly.
But it went down in a couple days. But I think the thing that was tough was coming back to the house, and you see a lot of stuff that's memories that you got to throw away. You can't keep that, and that was really tough on the family. And I told a couple people, I said, if it wasn't for people just showing up, volunteering, and helping us get the stuff out the house, it was people we didn't even know. I think even the Klein um, Collin football team, a lot of those guys, they came, the coach brought them, they helped move furniture and stuff out. And I told some, man, if it was almost like I just wanted to just lock the house up and just go start over somewhere else, because I could see how it was affecting my wife and my kids, and that's tough. And that the uplifting thing was when you see people come that you don't even know come help you, and it wasn't anything about color, race, or anything. It was about how can we help you. This, and we have a bunch of family, but it was just people we didn't know, and that was invaluable. And it made me reflect back to when I was in Miami playing for the Dolphins, and we would go do community service, and we'd go visit places after a hurricane or whatever. And I took it for granted. I mean, I was happy to go help the people, but you really don't know until that shoe is on your foot
Yeah.
how appreciative it is. So like you
Mhm.
said, when it made me reflect back when you say you and your family, your sons had this, start school, they're living out of hotel. That's enough already mentally. You're trying to focus on school, but you're not in your normal environment. It's been disrupted, and
Mhm.
that's tough. So yeah, I think that was a great thing you brought up. I think that people need to be sometimes just compassionate. And I think a lot of times we so quick to respond like we have the answer. You don't have to have the answer. Sometimes you just gotta listen and digest. And then when you digest it, just sit back and just say, hey, let me try to put myself in that person's shoes to see would I have the same reaction as if, rather than just listen to what they put on the news and then boom, just react right quick. Sometimes if you just slow down and just really think and digest it and take it in, I think most people have a different reaction. So
Man, that that
I
that
agree.
that reminds me of some advice you gave me. I didn't listen, of course, but I was like, remember, because you had the Chevy, what's the Chevy
Suburban.
truck? Yeah, you had the big bourbon, and
Yep.
then Aubrey Beavers had went and got his big bourbon, and
Yeah.
so I was like, man, I said, man, I guess I'm gonna get me a big bourbon, and then next thing you know, man, I'm in the I come out of the Range Rover dealership. You know,
Yeah,
I
you
go get a
stepped it
Range
up a
Rover,
notch.
and then it stuck with me because when I came to work, with the Dolphins stuff, and he was like, "Oh, I thought you was getting a bourbon," and I was like, "Yeah, man." Shoot. But I just, I went on and pulled the trigger, and that was you always think about stuff like that, man, and what you should have did, and I probably shouldn't have bought that truck at that time, but you know, you're young and you want to see it, you want things you never had and stuff like that, but you have people around you that are
Yeah.
advising you, say, hey man, let's
Yeah.
just get the bourbon for now, and then once you sign it, once you play to your contract, then maybe you do that and whatnot.
And we've all been guilty of that. I mean, the good thing is, even though you make mistakes, it might take you a while, but you learn. You can reflect back and learn from it. But then you can always get that same advice, and it's going to be times where people don't take your advice, but
Mhm.
you still love them anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right,
like
right.
sometimes you just got to make that mistake, but then once they make it, say, okay, yeah, I was right. The big thing is that you can acknowledge that someone did tell you that, and I think that's when you make progress, you make growth. But if you can never
Hmm.
acknowledge, no, it wasn't my fault, it was something else,
Right.
that's when you kind of get stuck. So yeah, that is good. But I kind of like this segment where each we just come up with something, we'll just touch on it toward the end of the show, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
and
it
hopefully people see a benefit from it. So this
yeah.
is we're
And
just
and
putting what's on our heart and our mind. Go ahead.
I'm gonna do a shameless plug right here for my book, but my book is called Politics and Sport: Why the
Okay.
Best Players Never Play. And
Hmm.
it's just just my story on what happened to me in the league, you know, and the politics that I saw. Man, it was crazy, with different coaches, different teams, different atmospheres, players. It definitely woke me up to the NFL, man, and to let people know that there's an underbelly, man. Like like my wife, she's in corporate, and or your wife might be in corporate, and they come home and tell you about the politics that are being the politics at work. So I want the book. The purpose of that book is to let everybody know that, look, you might see people riding, the people in the NFL have nice cars, nice houses, but the politics are still there, you know, and it's something that people need to know because and so one thing that I say is, like, so if you so your job, whatever you have at corporate, let's spend a day, let's do a day at your job like the NFL. Okay, you're gonna go meet, you're gonna go to lunch, you're gonna go to a walkthrough, you're gonna go to practice. They're gonna film practice. Once you film practice, you're gonna take a shower. After that, you and your boss, you and your boss are gonna go watch that film. Now, you want to do that every day? You know what I'm saying? Do you want to do
And
that every day? Do you want to subject yourself to that date on a daily basis? Because that's what we had to do. You know?
you had to do it, and you study being evaluated. And if
Oh
your
my
production
goodness.
falls off, or they can find somebody else, you could be here today, gone tomorrow. But I think this is the platform. And before we sign off, why don't you tell them the name of your book, um, and where they possibly can get the book, because that probably can be a blessing to somebody. So this is a platform. We might as well use it for that. But give them the name of the book again, and where they possibly, if they want to get the book, where they can get it from.
Well, right now I just got the final copy via
Okay.
email, and the name of the book is Politics and Sport: Why the Best Players Never Play. And real quick, the first my rookie year in Tampa, I saw Reggie Cobb, R.I.P. Reggie Cobb, my good brother. Uh, we flew up into Chicago, the last game of the season, and not to give away too much, he had 971 yards, and his contract stipulated back then they were always incentive laden contracts. So his
Hmm.
contract stipulated that if he got 1,000 yards, he would become a free agent. He gets to leave Tampa. I mean, we're 2-13 at the time, you
Yeah.
know, and first play of the game, delayed draw, Cobb, 9 yards. So now he's at nine. He had 971, so now he's at 980.
Yeah.
No reason for him not to reach 1,000 by the end of that game. Got back in the huddle after that 9-yard gain. Cobb was not in the huddle. So I'm looking around. They put Gary Anderson in. So I'm like, gee, where's Cobb? He's like, I don't know. I was like, is he hurt? I don't think so. Ready, break. Never put him back in the game.
Yeah.
So that was twofold. So Cobb is pissed, and I'm pissed. So now Cobb doesn't reach that goal. He gets to leave Tampa as a free agent. Now I'm not a rookie fullback blocking for a 1,000-yard rusher.
1,000-yard rusher. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where it started with me, and I thought I was going to start there, but that was the same when I started writing the book. Was the same year I started coaching my son's little league team. So now you got daddy ball going on. You know, you got a guy that's a president of a whole situation just so his unathletic son could be the quarterback. You know, that type of stuff. So that's kind of the premise of the book, and you know where I was born in Germany, coming back to America, and all of that. You know, so, but yeah, that it's and I think it's my story is more common in the NFL than being a journeyman, and you know, than someone you know that makes $700 or you know $400 million. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the premise of the book, and so we're gonna I think we're gonna go Amazon whenever we get the final. I got the front of the back, the back, the thank yous. So whenever we get the final, we're probably gonna do it through Amazon.
Okay. Well, definitely keep us updated. And like I said, this is a great platform. But yeah, I even look forward to reading the book as well. So, the good thing is you got it finished. It's a few more things you got to get done before it's out there. But yeah, we'll definitely use this and let it bless someone. So, other than that, we are about to sign off. Thank you for listening in again this week, and we will see you next week. Y'all have a great week.
Have a good one.